everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kelly. This will be the last Coffee with Kelly episode of this school year. This is episode 9 of Coffee with Kelly, and I am Kelly Appleby, the Thames Valley District School Board Mental Health Lead, and thank you so much for joining me. I've got 3 wonderful guests here today, and as far as I'm concerned, probably the most important guests I've had all year. So I would like to start off by having them introduce themselves. And first, I'll let you know that these 3 wonderful people are our incoming new student trustees for the 2020-2021 school year. So let's start off with Mahek. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, so my name is Mahek Dhaliwal, and I'm a grade 11 student at London Central Secondary School, and I'm going to be serving as your upcoming student trustee.
Tasnia?
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Kelly, and thank you so much for inviting us. I am Tasnia Rahman, and I am a grade 11 incoming student trustee, and I'm currently studying at Oak Ridge Secondary School, and I'm honored to be serving you as your 2020-2021 TVDSB elect.
Hey everyone, so my name is Nicholas Keller, and I'm your incoming Indigenous Student Trustee for the Thames Valley District School Board. I currently attend London Central Secondary School, and I'm in grade 11. So thank you for this coffee chat, Kelly.
You're welcome. I've got my coffee. I don't know about you guys, but it's my 3rd.
I got water.
So I actually, first off, when I say you 3 are the incoming trustees, and we've got some things to talk about. I'm so interested in hearing a lot about sort of the student perspective on this time of school closures, and most especially going forward in education and what we need to be thinking about for next school year. But before we get into that, I'd really like, I'm not sure everybody knows what a student trustee is or what the role of a student trustee is. So first and foremost, Tasnia, would you mind just sharing with all the people that are listening, what is it that you do?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. A student trustee, or the student trustee role in general within our province of Ontario, we are basically student representatives who are elected by the whole cohort of students who fall under a specific school board. For us, it's TVDSB, and as student trustees, these representatives, or us, we are in charge of voicing the concerns and amplifying the voices of within TVDSB, we have 80,000 students, and that it's our job to hear their concerns, make sure that their voices are being heard at the board level, and make motions and in conjunction with the adult student trustee after consultation. And we basically work with them in order to make sure that all of our concerns are basically being delivered at the board level.
So, like, kind of a big deal. Yeah, kind of a big deal. Yeah, so you are representatives for the student body, essentially. And so really important work, and thank you for doing that work. I'm so glad that you're here to talk about from your perspective, all of the things that have been happening and what we need to be thinking about. I'm a big believer in engaging youth voices in the things that impact kids. And I know that everybody is going to be really interested in what you have to say. So I guess first and foremost, I'm just thinking about, we're going to talk about this more in the sort of full cup of coffee conversation, but just like a little bit of your sense, sort of the student perspective on what the impact has been on children and youth during this time of school closures. There's a lot that's been written about it. There's a lot that is being talked about, but I want to hear it from your voice. So maybe just a little bit on that.
Yeah, so for sure. So as a student, I think that there's both positive and negative sides to the impact of quarantine and, the whole pandemic. Negatively, I think, some students are feeling stressed, anger, frustration, that they're constantly at home. They want to get out and go back to their teenage lives. There's definitely, a loss of regular routine, reduced social interactions, as we all know, diminished physical contact, as everybody also knows. And some students, just on a thin line, also face financial burden because some students work, and right now, they're not working, and sometimes it affects their lives if they're taking care. Positively, though, I think this is a really good time. The impact that it's made for me is that I'm focused more on myself, and I use this time to find more passions, which is really great. Just spending time with my family and self-care. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So really tough times, and also some interesting sort of odd, what some people call silver linings, things that are maybe unanticipated, but if you look for them, they're out there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm also curious about, and again, we're going to talk a lot more about this, but there's a lot of conversation happening about what school may or may not look like in September. We actually don't know, so we can't answer that. But I'm curious to know what students are talking about. Like, what are the conversations that are happening amongst you and your peers that may be like some of the worries or some of the challenges that are going to be anticipated. I wonder if Tasnia, you have any thoughts about that?
For sure. Yes. In terms of what we would like to see happen and what the conditions that we're facing currently, the main concern that a lot of my peers are voicing right now, and I'm echoing that at the same time, is that there's a lot of missed opportunities that have resulted in because of the school closures. We're like missing out on really consolidating our learning for a future level of study that could be any level of high school or post-secondary or even workplace. So because our education is at school is not just focused at delivering those academic aspects, we learn our social skills, and we basically get prepared to step into the real world. A lot of that kind of learning is kind of at a standstill right now because we're having to teach ourselves a lot of the things that we would have otherwise learned so much better at school. And that is something that we're all expressing concerns about. And a big issue, obviously, is the deterioration of mental health concerns, because being, as Mahek mentioned, being enclosed at home during this pandemic and just being restricted from physical interactions and all of those social aspects of our life that we enjoy and obviously the financial burden as well has really put pressure on the mental health issues and really made them more pronounced in students right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think in students and sort of like the world in some ways, right? Really and truly, the impact has been significant. So thank you for sharing that. It's really important that we hear that perspective, so that we know what we sort of need to prioritize and take care of when we're all back together, whatever that will look like. So there is a lot of people, experts maybe, in education and mental health, that are writing about re-entry to school and what we need to do, what we need to think about, and here we are. I'm seeking your perspective. I'm seeking the student perspective, the very people that are going to be sort of receiving the support that we need to be providing. So I'm wondering if we can just talk really briefly about, so why is student voice matter? Why should we be asking students about what will be happening with school come next school year? Why? Which one of you would like to answer that? Go for it.
I can go ahead
Yeah.
if you want.
Yeah.
So, with schools opening again, it's a thin line in between, students going back to school and teachers going back to school as well. So I think student voice in that case is really important because we want to advocate for the right of the students, and especially in this pandemic, there are going to be so many different viewpoints, because some people sometimes, can't go online and study with the whole online system thing. And I think just student voice is important for us to be able to adapt and to help students transition back into our, normal lifestyles. And it's also important to help teachers, how they can help students transition and them transition themselves. But yeah, that's what I think.
So it's sort of this whole idea of asking students what students need is like maybe a good idea. Yeah. And the three of us have met before this conversation, and what you have to say is as important, if not more important, than any other document or study or paper that I've read about re-entry back to school. So thank you, the three of you, so much for being a part of this conversation. It's really powerful. And so this particular segment, we're just going to wrap up this sort of a sip of coffee with Kelly segment. And I really, really encourage everybody who's watched this to go to tvdsb.ca/mental health and find episode 9 of Coffee with Kelly for the extended full cup of coffee conversation with myself and these three lovely people, so that we can continue to hear what students need going forward. So thank you to the three of you, and we will see you in the full cup of coffee.